Throughout the summer and fall, Sharee Miller used her cosmetics business. Sharee spun a web of lies around her husband. Even when they weren't together in Reno, they kept the heat going with steamy instant messages and emails, and even swapped videos. They went as far as changing their online names, with Sharee calling herself Jerry's Fool and Jerry calling himself Sharee's Fool. You'd think Jerry, being an ex-cop, would smell something fishy, but he was blinded by Sharee's lovey-dovey declarations. Sharee texted another man saying she had to leave town for a bit. Later, he got another message from someone saying he'd forced Sharee to have an abortion. He couldn't take it anymore. He felt like he'd failed to protect his children and the woman he loved. He drove to Michigan, and as Bruce left work one day, Jerry gunned him down. Who was Sharee Miller? Why does she plan to kill someone with another? What was the reason? This is your partner in crime stories. Subscribe and let's move along this mysterious journey ahead. Bruce and Sharee were born and raised in Flint, Michigan, a once important city in the car industry. Sharee was born on October 13, 1971. She had a tough childhood without a dad. Her mom drank a lot and often had different boyfriends. Sharee spent her early years in a trailer with her mom's changing partners, who sometimes treated her badly. She suffered abuse when she was just 3 or 4. By the age of 16, she was on her own. At the age of 17, she got hitched and had a kid, but the marriage didn't last. Then she tried again, but that didn't stick either. Her second husband, Tribby, got nailed for smacking his kid so hard it caused serious harm. Sharee's second try at marriage wasn't any better. Tribby got accused of hurting his 6-year-old stepdaughter, but they couldn't pin it on him. Sharee bounced around, trying to find a guy to look after her. By the time she hit 26, she was a single mom to 3 kids from different dads. She was grinding away at a nursing home job and selling Mary Kay makeup to make ends meet. She wasn't a supermodel, but she had her kind of charm, and folks found her attractive. In 1997, Sharee, at the age of 26, lands a gig as an accountant at B and Auto Salvage, owned by Bruce Miller, who's 47. She figures Bruce, a successful business guy, is the stability she's been after. Bruce, born on July 26, 1951, used to work at GM like many friends in Flint. But after leaving GM, he stuck with the auto scrapping biz. Bruce ran his junkyard, where he'd snatch up old cars and sell off their parts. He'd been connected 3 times, loved racing, and was a real people person, always giving and welcoming. When Sharee started working for him, he wasn't interested in her romantically. He was just helping out a single mom trying to get by. But somehow, Sharee managed to catch his eye, and they ended up having an office romance. Despite the big age gap, Bruce and Sharee hit it off fast. Bruce felt good getting attention from a younger woman, and before they knew it, they were living together. Just 4 months later, on April 23, 1999, they tied the knot in a Vegas chapel. Sharee and her kids moved in with Bruce, and finally, she found the stability she'd been craving. Chuck Miller spilled the beans on TV, saying Sharee had always dreamed of Bruce. She'd go on about how he was the best thing ever to happen to her. Chuck's wife, Judy, chimed in, saying Bruce was smitten by the young blonde, who he thought was just perfect. But some friends were worried about Sharee's spending habits, thinking she was going overboard with the shopping. Sharee went wild with her credit cards and cash, trying to fill up some emptiness inside her. But even though her friends were worried, Bruce didn't seem bothered. He just looked the other way when it came to her spending. Besides, Sharee was hustling too. She sold Mary Kay makeup, hitting up customers at home or on her travels across the country, keeping her accounts in check. Bruce even splurged on a computer for Sharee, but that turned out to be a game changer. One day, while she was browsing for vacation spots on the internet, she stumbled upon adult chat rooms by accident. Back in 1999, social media wasn't a thing, and texting wasn't all that common. People chatted in online chat rooms instead. Some of these were pretty steamy, where friends could flirt and share fantasies without showing their faces. Bruce knew Sharee was into this online flirting stuff, but he didn't think much of it. He figured it was harmless fun. Bruce was head over heels for his wife, happy in their marriage. He even wanted to adopt her kids. He didn't want to spoil their family life with doubts, so he trusted her. Meanwhile, Sharee got comfortable in the online world, chatting away in those rooms, sharing all her wildest fantasies with strangers, using different names each time. Detective, who dug into the murder case, spilled the beans in court. Sharee had a whopping 25 different fake names. It wasn't until 2016 that she came clean, saying she hardly left the computer. Bruce was busy with work, so she'd spend hours flirting online. She confessed she had this need to control everything and everyone who trusted her. It was like a game to her. Each guy she met online was a new level, and it just got harder. One of the dudes she crossed paths with was Jerry Cassidy, going by a fake name. Jerry Cassidy, born on October 6, 1960, was a Kansas City native. He tied the knot, raised his boy, and had a blast hunting deer with his brothers. Dreaming big, he wanted to join the FBI, but for a while, he worked as a homicide detective. He stirred the pot by blowing the whistle on some shady record-keeping at work, which didn't sit well with his colleagues. Jerry got knocked down a few pegs. After 9 years on the force, he had to quit. Even though he did the right thing, it cost him his career. That hit him hard. He started drowning his sorrows in booze and drugs, and his marriage went south. Eventually, he picked himself up, moved to Reno, and landed a gig as a security guard at Hora's casino. Jerry Cassidy found himself some downtime in chat rooms, where he crossed paths with Sharee Miller. Their online flirting heated up, and in July 1999, they finally met up in Reno. Sharee claimed she was there for a Mary Kay convention, tagging along with a friend. What started as a virtual fling quickly turned into a real thing. Jerry thought things were looking up. Sharee spun a tale about being a rich lady stuck with a disabled hubby, looking for some action on the side. Jerry's friend Carol spilled the beans later on, saying Sharee swooped into his life when he was at rock bottom. His marriage had tanked. He was in a new area with no friends around, and he was head over heels for Sharee. Jerry couldn't stop raving about Sharee's skills in the bedroom to Carol, claiming she was top-notch in every way. Throughout the summer and fall, Sharee used her cosmetics business as a cover for trips to Reno to meet Jerry. Even when they weren't together in Reno, they kept the heat going with steamy instant messages and emails, and even swapped videos. They went as far as changing their online names, with Sharee calling herself Jerry's Fool, and Jerry calling himself Sharee's Fool. You'd think Jerry, being an ex-cop, would smell something fishy, but he was blinded by Sharee's lovey-dovey declarations. Sharee spun a web of lies around Jerry, convincing him that her husband, Bruce, needed to be taken out. She even faked pregnancies, showing Jerry ultrasound pics and positive pregnancy tests. Then she dropped the bomb that Bruce had supposedly found out about the pregnancies and beat her, causing her to lose the babies. Jerry, feeling enraged and protective, begged Sharee to leave Bruce and come live with him. But Sharee claimed Bruce had mafia ties and threatened their lives if they left. Meanwhile, Jerry was dealing with his demons, getting arrested for being drunk and disorderly at the casino. He eventually decided to leave Reno and try to patch things up with his family back in Missouri. But he and Sharee kept their affair alive online, with Sharee sending Jerry pics of her supposedly growing belly. Now, here is the twist. Then things took a dark turn. Jerry received an email, supposedly from Bruce, threatening the unborn babies. Sharee texted Jerry, saying she had to leave town for a bit. Later, Jerry got another message from Bruce, saying he'd force Sharee to have an abortion. Jerry couldn't take it anymore. He felt like he'd failed to protect his children and the woman he loved. He drove to Michigan, and as Bruce left work one day, Jerry gunned him down. Sharee played her part perfectly, pretending to be worried when she called Bruce's brother, Chuck, to check on him. But in reality, she was already moving on with her life, dancing in a bar, and cozying up to a new guy named Jeff Foster. Jerry thought he'd done it all for love, but Sharee dumped him like yesterday's news after the murder. He was left feeling used and broken. His guilt consumed him, and he ended up taking his own life, leaving behind letters revealing Sharee's lies. Sharee's trial was a media circus, with thousands of messages between her and Jerry exposing her deceit. Despite her denials, the evidence was stacked against her. She was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. Years later, Sharee finally came clean about her crimes. She admitted she did it out of fear and manipulation, not for money or revenge. But it was too late for Jerry, who paid the ultimate price for believing her lies.